Welcome into the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. My name is Rob Sanders. Appreciate you joining us this afternoon as we are right in the heart of the NCAA baseball tournament. We're going to have stuff with that. And I left all my stuff on the printer. Imagine that. So I'll have to grab that during the break. But we can start with the NCAA tournament last night. We can get into, there's going to be some projections that I have printed up for the SEC and football, where actually lines that have been put out as far as total game winners for for the SEC. So we'll get into that this afternoon. We'll also talk a little bit about the latest in the Deshaun Watson saga, because that's what it is right now. Oh, man. So many things that have happened over the weekend. You know, you got to look at the NCAA tournament, though. And last night, Tennessee down to Georgia Tech. They come back and beat the Yellow Jackets, advance to the Super Regional, where they'll play Notre Dame. Apparently, one of their players decided that he wanted to give the one-finger salute to Georgia Tech as they ran around the bases. So, yeah, there's that. Tennessee's becoming the bad boy of baseball right now. And you know what? I like it. I know that sounds like I'm being silly, but I like it. There's nothing wrong with being a villain. I mean, I grew up liking Ric Flair, for goodness sake, who was always the villain. But anyway, we'll also take your calls at 803-978-1832. Coaches under pressure, we'll do that too this hour. So lots of things to get into as we roll along here. Teams that have already advanced to the Super Region will include Tennessee, Virginia Tech, Texas A&M, Texas, and Notre Dame. So there you go with that. There's how your folks are still there. We still have tons of games that are underway right now, and we can give you some scores here on those as well. Coastal Carolina, they're in after beating up on the host school, East Carolina, yesterday. Another game up there in Greenville. And the Chanticleers currently trail 4-2 in the top of the sixth inning as they're coming to the plate now. We'll see. We'll follow that game as we roll along. Michigan and Louisville. Louisville scored 20 runs yesterday against Michigan to extend their regional. They lead 7-3 in the top of the fourth inning. Elimination game between Florida and Oklahoma. Bottom of the sixth inning, Gators lead the Sooners 2-1. So we'll keep you up to date on that. Let's see here. There are some other scores that we'll try to keep up with as we roll along here. Let's see if we can get you the full scoreboard update here. Yeah, there we go. Those are the only games that are active right now. In games coming up, you got Ole Miss and Arizona, Southern Miss and LSU, Vanderbilt and Oregon State. You got North Carolina, VCU, Arkansas and Oklahoma State, Maryland and UConn, Texas State and Stanford. From what I gather, make sure that I've got you got it correct here. I think Texas State has not lost a game in that regional. So there's that too for you. Yeah, Stanford's got, actually both of them have a loss. So yeah, that's an elimination game in Stanford. Tennessee's already advanced. Maryland and UConn, they're playing for a spot. Shout out to Steven online. What's up, buddy? How are you? In Chapel Hill, North Carolina and VCU, they're going to go at it. Also, Oklahoma State and Arkansas. In Stillwater. In Coral Gables, Miami's eliminated. Arizona and Ole Miss, as I said, they're going to be doing their thing. LSU and Southern Miss both have a loss. We'll see how that works out for them. As far as, let's see here, Auburn has no losses. They'll play UCLA, Oregon State, and Vanderbilt. Two teams with one loss. We'll see how that goes. Virginia Tech has won their regional. They will play the winner of the Florida and Oklahoma game. That game is live right now with the Gators leading the way 2-1 in the seventh inning. Louisville and Michigan, Both teams have a loss. Louisville beat the snot out of them yesterday, by the way. But we'll keep you up to date on that. Let's see, you have one ACC team advancing with Virginia Tech, two SEC teams with Texas A&M and well, I guess you could say Texas next year, basically, but Tennessee as of right now. And we'll have either East Carolina or Coastal Carolina advancing as well. All right, so feel free to call in on that. Is Tennessee the bad boy of baseball? And you know what? I kind of like it. You know, one of the things about baseball, and I'm using my kids as an example on this, they think baseball is just slow. It's just so slow. You watch a Tennessee game, man, those guys play with some passion, and passion makes people angry. Now, I'm not saying you should have ran around the bases giving people the finger last night. That's probably not the best way to go, even though I found that very amusing. Maybe that's not the best interest of the sport overall, but you know what? I like guys that get after it. So why not with Tennessee there? Anyway, is Tennessee the new bad boy of baseball? We'll take calls on that as well. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. I'm going to get into some football stuff because if I don't, the chat room will start yelling at me. What was it that I don't have my full printout in front of me, but I will talk to you about. We're going to do SEC win projections according to DraftKings.com. We'll have that for you in a little bit. We'll do over and under action on those. We're going to keep those, by the way, on the bookcase of accountability. But what coaches are under pressure heading into this season? And I got this article that a lot of it is from 247 Sports, Josh Pate, and he talked about coaches heading into this season that are definitely under pressure. And the first one on the list is Jeff Collins at Georgia Tech. Guy's got 9 wins at 3 seasons at Tech. Okay? If he's not under pressure to win this year, if they don't go to a bowl game, we're going to have a new coach in Atlanta. I don't care how many people like what Jeff Collins has done. He's up there parading around with his Waffle House cup and talking about, we're recruiting whatever the zip code is, or the area. What is it? The 404? I can't remember. But I just don't think that Georgia Tech was at one point a very proud football program, and they don't look very good at all. And I understand that he had to completely change the way that things were there. And just on the wide receiving core, okay, the wide receivers that he had there that Johnson left him were basically put out there to block, and that's about it. That's about it. So he had to get some guys that could actually go out and make some catches instead of being somebody that just blocks. So just to give you an example of some of the things he had to change, and he had to convince a quarterback to come there that wanted to throw the ball instead of a guy that is probably a running back wide receiver combo, basically, that can step in and throw a ball here or there, but their job is basically to run the option. So there's all of that against Jeff Collins. But you know what? He knew what he was getting into. Sign your own gig on that, my friends. Dino Babers at Syracuse. So they've gone, 5-7, 1-10, 5-7. They got to make a bowl game. We'll have to see how that works out for them. And I don't know if there's a lot of pressure to win at Syracuse, but as far as just being a nice guy, he's got that part down. But to put it from the one perspective, he had a young man that transferred out of there that if he would have stayed at Syracuse would have broken Syracuse's all-time reception record, receiving yards and reception record, if I remember correctly. And he chose to go somewhere else. So I don't know if he's good at keeping a lot of the young guys that are there. And the transfer portal has kind of ravaged the program too. So I think no bowl game for Syracuse equals Dino Baber is going somewhere else. I agree with what Billy is saying online. Head coaches should get 4 recruiting years, then all bets are off. It's not that far-fetched. I mean, and I know it sounds kind of crazy, but once you got your guys in there, you got to go. Now, at some places, it's not going to be that way. Some places, you're going to have talent already there. And the idea of, hey, you come in and you win 9 games in 3 seasons, that's not going to happen. Imagine if we take the tech off of Georgia there, Kirby Smart won 9 games in 3 seasons, he would have been fired. I think if he won 3 games and they started a season where it looked like they were going to win 3 games, he probably would have been fired immediately. Wouldn't even give him the chance. So there's that. Bible Belt says there should be a minimum window of at least 4 years of job security. Yeah. And I understand that, but you know what? The problem that I have with that is that these coaches, man, they'll go somewhere else. They will go somewhere else and they're going to get paid. It's not like if they come in and let's say they lead the team to 2, let's say your team has been not very good for a while, and this guy comes in and leads you to 7 wins your first year, 10 wins your second year, and all of a sudden, gone. That can happen. So the idea of like, yeah, we got to give everybody 4 years, it doesn't really work that way. It really doesn't. I mean, it should be in the land of being straightforward and trying to make sure that you build a solid foundation that makes a lot of sense. But in the end, you don't win, you're out. Gone. Bye-bye. All right, so 803-978-1832. Scott Frost at Nebraska. Here's the thing. Their over-under win total is at 7.5. They've not made a bowl yet under Scott Frost. They haven't. So if they don't go to a bowl game, I think he's done. Their schedule, by the way, looks pretty solid, like meaning that they could have the opportunity to do their thing. Papa B says, sounds exactly what happened with Dan Mullen at Mississippi State. Came in, had success, now jobless. He's doing something, isn't he? Isn't he? I mean, he's working at a high school, right? I don't know. Dan Mullen is a complete goof, but I don't know how that's going to work out for him. We shall see. But yeah, you're right. These guys come in and if they can catch lightning in a bottle, if they don't really have like some serious loyalty to a school, they're going to go somewhere else. That's just the way that it is. All right, we'll take your calls this afternoon on those coaches at 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. I completely agree. All of those guys are pressure packed. They also talked about Jimbo Fisher. I'm not a fan of Jimbo Fisher here because he runs his mouth, but the guy does recruit well. We'll give him that. Okay. He did win a national championship at Florida State, and he really hasn't been the same since. Yeah, they had that one great season. What was it? The COVID year where they did really well. Other than that, they played pretty well last season, I believe. No, they were 8-4 last year. He's been kind of Mr. 8-4 at Texas A&M. And you know what? Maybe there's a section of folks, he's kind of on the teeter-totter, meaning that there are folks like Peg and Megan loves Jimbo Fisher. And he may end up being great. He may weave it all together this year and then go from there. Or he may end up being terrible. And they may fall off the end of the world and they'll end up trying to find somebody else. But is the pressure on him this year? I think the pressure is going to be on you anywhere where they spend the amount of money they spend at Texas A&M and they see the recruiting classes that he's gotten. Yeah, it's definitely there's some pressure there. But yeah, Jimbo Fisher, okay, I could buy that too. And the next one is who Billy was talking about with Brian Harsin at Auburn. You know, does he really want to be at Auburn? With all the stuff that allegedly happened where boosters were putting together things saying that he was running around with a secretary. I mean, just there was so much nonsense that was put out there. And it ended up looking like they were just trying to run him out of town. And he put his head down and he got himself to work, managed to convince Tank Bigsby to stay there, and he's still the head coach at Auburn. Now, is that going to continue? I don't know. But as far as the hot seat goes, I think they wanted to fire him last year. They lost to Houston in some bowl game. They didn't want him there after that. So we shall see on that front with Harsin. But yeah, Billy's correct. Also, Mike Norvell at Florida State. I don't know if they're completely bought in on him or not. So the thing with Florida State is that they have to be sitting back thinking, do we try to be consistent and let this guy go this year? If they don't win 8 games this year and look like they're a decent team, there may be some talk about, you know what? Maybe we should go somewhere else. At this point, I don't know which way the Florida State fan base is looking, but being competitive is a good thing. Pagan Megan he doesn't know much, but this comment is good. He says, perhaps they should put UT baseball players in pads this fall. They couldn't do much worse. Yeah, if they're playing in the secondary, you might be right. You might be right. I agree with you on that. Good stuff, sir. And there you go. There's the coaches that are supposedly under pressure for this coming season. If you want to add to that, 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. East Carolina has a 4-2 lead on Coastal Carolina, bottom of the 6th inning. The Pirates are up to bat, and they're trying to clinch a spot in the Super Regional. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to dial if you'd like to join us here on the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400, around the world on the iHeartRadio app. We appreciate folks following, especially online. You guys are awesome, making the keeping the chat going over there. You can find that on the Fox Sports Radio Facebook page and interact with those folks there. Good stuff always in the chat room. Sometimes it's like a show within a show, and that's fine. Sometimes they're very cordial to each other, and sometimes they try to cut each other's throat over there. It is definitely a great place to go. Billy says the head coach winner of this game will be Clemson's next baseball coach. You talking about with East Carolina and Coastal Carolina? I don't know. I think that Clemson is going to go after the Notre Dame head coach, but I could be wrong. 803-978-1832. Papa B says Norvell, Fuente, both came from Memphis. Both have been flops. Fuente went to the ACC championship game his first year at Virginia Tech, and then they went downhill after that. So I don't know. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to dial if you'd like to join us here on the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Of course, around the world on the iHeartRadio app. We've got new projections for the SEC from DraftKings, some over and under numbers. We'll talk about that in a moment. This is the Rundown. You're listening to Fox Sports Radio 1400. Let me grab my paperwork. Georgia Tech has a national title. That's not something to be proud about? What are you talking about, Peg and Megan? At one point, they won a national title. Up until last year, they had a national title sooner than Georgia had. So Yeah, they won a national title in 1990. So, yep, that's what happened. So I can't like say this actually on the radio, but with all the graphic details, because I'll get in trouble. But Deshaun Watson's got another case against him. Apparently, the woman says she was giving him a massage and he basically blew his load on her face and her chest. How does that happen? I mean, I'm not really buying that. I'm just saying. I can't say that on the radio, but still. Welcome back. Welcome back to the rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. Quick score update. Coastal Carolina falls behind another run there as East Carolina scores. They lead 5-2 in the bottom of the sixth inning. As we're wrapping up regional play around the country. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. So Deshaun Watson, really quick, is going to be charged with his 24th case today. His attorney, the attorney for the accusers, Tony Busby, says. So basically, here's the other thing that was out there. This woman said that she came in because of what she saw other women on Real Sports, and basically said that yes, this happened to her, and she wanted to let people know, hey, this is what happened. I'm a victim too. So I don't know what's going to happen with all of this, but Rusty Hardin, who is Deshaun Watson's attorney, and I'm going to read this to you because it is a news story. This is what his attorney said on an interview. Quote, I don't know how many men are out there now that have had a massage that perhaps occasionally there was a happy ending. If that has happened, it's not a crime. Okay, unless you're paying somebody extra or so to give you some kind of sexual activity. Doing something or saying something or being a way that makes you uncomfortable is not a crime. And so we've had 2 grand juries find that, and nobody seems to want to listen. So Deshaun Watson's attorney is out talking about sexual activities in massage parlors. Okay. He says Deshaun Watson did nothing wrong, and as 2 grand juries have made clear, Deshaun did nothing illegal. He's always acknowledged consensual sexual activity with 3 of the plaintiff massage therapists after massages, and Deshaun has reportedly sworn under oath that he did not force any of his accusers to have sexual contact. We're at the point now with this where Deshaun Watson is not going to jail. We know that. And now it's just a question of how much money is Deshaun Watson going to pay? All right, let's go out to the phones. Welcome into the rundown. Good afternoon.
Hey, Roberts, Bluegrass Sports Media.
What's up, buddy?
So I heard what his attorney said. So if I'm getting this correct, and correct me if I'm wrong. So what they're saying is if they lump the happy ending into the price.
Don't go too far with all of that. I'm just saying that there were sexual activities that were alleged to have happened that these women did not like. Okay, so let's just, that's as far as we're gonna go.
Well, no, I'm talking about the legality of it.
Right.
So if it's lumped into the price, it's not illegal?
I don't know. I don't take part in massage sessions where sexual activity is brought up. And by the way, if there has to be something that's not clicking completely there with Deshaun Watson, if you're going into something thinking, yeah, I'm going to try to get all these women to have sex with me when they give me massages, that's not. I mean, you've seen his Instagram messages. It's silly. Something's crazy up there.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I mean, that, yeah, there's not really much I can say on the radio, but, so I want to get your opinion on this, Rob. What is the maximum, or not maximum, how many games does Josh Heupel have to lose this year to get fired?
They're not firing Josh Heupel this year, so that's not happening.
You're telling me if Josh Heupel goes 5-7, they're not firing Josh Heupel?
They're not firing Josh Heupel.
I don't.
Does that break your heart? Are you upset by that? By the way, as a Kentucky fan, are you scared of Josh Heupel? I'm asking because you bring this up, and it's like you think they're going to go 5-7. I mean, has he done something to make you think he's going to set the world on fire at Tennessee, or has he done something that makes you think he's going to fail miserably?
Well, no, Tennessee fans are. Well, let me get this out of the way before Tennessee fans call in the show and are getting upset. I don't have to be scared of Josh Heupel because it doesn't matter who the coach has been in Tennessee. We've lost to them every time. So I don't have to be scared of Josh Heupel. But this recruiting has gotten Tennessee fans' head in a tizzy. And I think if he has a bad season this year, they're going to look poorly on him. He's definitely. I mean, if he's not fired, he's going to be on a very, very hot seat.
Well, I don't think they're going to fire him. So I don't think they're going to fire him. I mean, just to be completely honest with you, unless he goes like 2-10, and there's some more accusations of McDonald's bags filled with cash. I mean, now that obviously could happen, but I mean, if they go 5-7, then I mean, it's I just don't see that happening. I don't think Tennessee's going 5-7, first of all, but in that world, if they did, I still don't think they fire Josh Heupel.
Well, I don't see the NCAA violations coming because there's a thing called NIL, and it stands for now it's legal.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter. This is beforehand. And that's the thing. People don't understand. There's a difference between NIL, which is outside folks paying money for likeness, and the university paying for likeness. The university, it's a completely different thing. And Tennessee should be held accountable for that. And we've talked about that before, and that should be in the mix. But Tennessee's also, they looked at the North Carolina case where they gave away, what was it, African-American studies degrees out of the window of an Arby's up at North Carolina to a football or a basketball player if they wanted it. And North Carolina just basically looked at him and said, touch me and I'll sue. And the NCAA said, no, we don't want to deal with that. Tennessee has some attorneys there, I'm sure, that they've kind of floated the idea to the NCAA. Look, we've done this. We've had this. We've gotten rid of everyone that was part of it. We got rid of the AD. We self-sanctioned ourselves with so many scholarships that are gone. And you need to think that that's enough, because if not, then you're going to have to fight our attorneys. And we've got lots of them, sort of like North Carolina did. And I think that may be the holdup. They may be negotiating behind the scenes, and the NCAA will probably come out and say, okay, what you've done is great. We're going to hit you with another 5 scholarship losses and a couple of other things that are going to look really good on paper. But in reality, we are a toothless organization that's not worth a damn, and we can't fight you. It's not like you're Mizzou where no one cares. So we're not going to drop the hammer on you, even though you graphically cheated and were caught and should be penalized to the moon and back. No, we're not going to do that. So we'll hit you with some minor things and go about our merry way.
Yeah, I agree with you there. They're not going to get anything for what they did.
No.
But I mean, Tennessee fans are going to say losing all the kids to the transfer portal is going to be punishment enough in the sanctions, but it's not really. Like you guys should be punished more because you were paying players and still losing games.
Right.
So they should be punished more. One last thing before I get off here, Rob. I've been trying to read up on the Chris Rodriguez situation. Haven't found anything concrete.
Right.
I would like to say if he is suspended and it's not by Coach Stoops, it's by the SEC of some sort, I would like to bring up that if Alabama's defensive coordinator is coaching week 1, then there's something wrong with the SEC. Because Pete Golding got a DUI this summer as well, and there's been no talk of him missing any games, and he is a 40-year-old man. So I don't understand how there could be talks of a college kid, as some people say. I know he's an adult, but a college kid missing games for the same offense.
I think he should be suspended probably the first 3 games of the season and then move on. But we'll see how that works out.
Okay.
All right, man.
I could agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, you don't drive drunk. This is what happens. Now you're gone for 3 games.
Yeah, but so should Pete Golding. Pete Golding should be gone too for 3 games.
Sure. Yeah, have at it.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
All right, see you.
All right, let me correct Billy online. Kind of like juicing at Clemson. What was the punishment for that? Well, there was a full investigation by the NCAA. They determined that Clemson wasn't responsible for the substances that ended up in the young men that tested positive for what was I can't remember the name of the substance that was there. So these young men went off campus and got this substance and took it. And when they got tested, they failed their test and they didn't play. That's why none of it was there. So we can spin tall tales all that you want there, Billy, but the reality is Tennessee cheated really, really bad. No player played at Clemson that was tested positive for the Osterine. That's just the way that it is. NCAA didn't find anything. Sorry if that hurt your feelings. Your team was stuffing McDonald's bags with cash, and you should be sanctioned to the moon. If it was about being honest, that's what you would say. Yeah, it should be more than just we got rid of everyone. No, it should be like a 2-year bowl ban. That's what it should be. But here's the thing. Everyone else cheats too, but Tennessee was cheating to the point where they just didn't care. They didn't care enough to even try to cover it up. And that's the problem. 803-978-1832. Quick break, and we come back. We'll have more for you on the rundown. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. I don't know about that, Dakota. I don't know anything about that. Elijah, you don't think that Tennessee, if it were some other program, that they should be hit with more? If it were Alabama, would you want them hit with more? Think about it. Jackpot got it right on the Rodriguez thing. You can't be in Kentucky drinking tequila. It's a bourbon state. Deal with it. If it were Alabama, you'd want them to have the Alabama A turned upside down. Stop it. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That's the number to dial if you'd like to join us here on the Rundown. East Carolina has a 5-2 lead over Coastal Carolina. They are in the, I think, 7th inning now as the regional is starting to wrap up there. I found this about potential upsets. Where did it go? Can't find my notes. There are potential upsets that were listed on the 247 sports site. I'll have to pull it up here. But potential upsets to watch for in 2022. And there was one that I looked at and I was like, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. The first one was West Virginia at Pitt, and they've got West Virginia as the upset winner. You know, I don't really think that's an upset. West Virginia, I don't know how good Pitt's going to be yet. Notre Dame and BYU, the upset winner there being BYU. How good is Notre Dame going to be without Brian Kelly? I've talked about Brian Kelly and the fact that he's not very good after Thanksgiving, but before Thanksgiving, this guy's outstanding. If like the national championship game was on Thanksgiving Day, he'd be great. But the reality is that after Thanksgiving, he doesn't play very well. But this game is on October the 8th. And how good is BYU going to be too? So that might be something to think about there. The other upset that I thought was interesting was Clemson at Boston College. That game is also on October the 8th. Now, the big thing with this matchup with Boston College is that they're going to have Dracovic back. Dracovic is their quarterback up at Boston College. They should have the good portion of their team back. And if I'm looking at the Clemson schedule, not saying Boston College is a madhouse of crazy up there, but the reality is that going there to play, especially depending on what time of day it is, maybe they won't be completely up for that game. Who knows at this juncture? But I do know that Jeff Hafley up there is a hell of a football coach. And he's not going to be at Boston College very long because I think that he's going to be somewhere else. Of course, he came from Ohio State. Them somewhat squared away up at Boston College. I think that matchup is going to be very, very interesting. And I like that matchup better as far as someone beating Clemson over the NC State matchup because that matchup is at home at Clemson. So I think college is the one team on the Clemson schedule that could pull off an upset. Clemson's got to go to Notre Dame too, and that's probably, I think as of right now, it's going to be like a pick 'em. But I think that if you take your orange goggles off for just a second, that Boston College trip may be interesting. 803-978-1832. Dr. Vol online says Tennessee's winning 10 games this year. Okay. And he says Henson Ho for Heisman. Who is Henson Ho? Is that like some high dollar lot lizard in Tennessee? I don't know who Henson Ho is. Who is Henson Ho? Help me out with that. 803-978-1832. Papa B says NC State fans on their message board want out of the ACC after getting screwed by the NCAA again this year. Yeah, could be that way. I don't know. One of the other potential upsets is Texas A&M at Mississippi State. They think Mississippi State is going to get the win. Interesting. And it says, so last year, Mississippi State just went into College Station and won. The pushback there would be upsets happen. But Jimbo Fisher is, 500 against the Pirates since he joined the SEC. So we shall see on that. Jay says Henson Ho was on the movie The Hangover. Okay. Did not know that. Funny. Daddy O says, which is a bigger party school, Coastal or East Carolina? I'd have to go with Coastal, being down there on the beach. East Carolina's looking pretty solid right now, as they're probably going to advance to the super regional there. All right, 803-978-1832, potential upsets there. The other one is Oklahoma at Nebraska. They've got Nebraska winning that game. Oklahoma, I don't know how that's going to work out for them. We shall see, man. Completely different team with Brent Venables as the head coach. All right, let's go to the phones. Welcome into the rundown. Good afternoon. Hello. Hey, what's up?
Hey, man, it's Dr. Ball.
Hey, Dr. Ball, how are you?
What you know? Getting the damn football fever, man. It's getting close, ain't we?
Yeah, we're like, I think someone said we're like 85 days away. So yeah, it's
85 days. Yeah, getting close.
Yeah, man.
I was watching the damn Missouri spring game today, but I don't know.
Wait, hold on. Dr. Ball.
Tennessee gonna win 9 or 10 games.
Fair enough, man. Why are you watching?
Yeah, just watch.
Why are you watching the Missouri game? Here. I'm listening. Go ahead.
9 or 10 games. You don't think Tennessee gonna win 10 games with a bowl game? You're saying right now, you want to make a bet right now Tennessee don't win 10 games.
Easy, killer.
Let's make a bet. Let's make a bet.
Easy.
$500 right at the beginning of the season.
Oh, you got to calm down.
$500. Put it on it. The Tennessee gets to 10 wins.
You don't know the name of your quarterback. You just called him Henson.
Yeah, that is autocorrect on my phone, man.
How does it autocorrect from Hendon Hooker to Henson Ho?
You don't think I know Hendon Hooker's name?
You didn't know it enough to put it in the chat room. You called him Henson Ho.
It's because the autocorrect on my cell phone I put in Hendon and it put Henson. All right.
Okay, so you autocorrect from Hendon to
It autocorrected itself.
But how about Ho? How did it correct from Hooker to Ho? Is that how that went?
No, I put that because, your good friend, Lou, likes to call him Hendon Ho. So I was putting Hendon Ho.
So a tip of the hat to Uncle Lou. Gotcha. Yeah. I understand.
Tip of the hat to Uncle Lou? Yeah, of course. Right. Congrats to Georgia.
All right,
they're going to whoop our ass again this year. Georgia's going to whoop our ass, and Alabama's going to whoop our ass. Who else going to whoop Tennessee's ass? That's what I want to know.
All right. Well,
ain't nobody going to beat our ass.
I appreciate you calling.
We got the high-flying offense. You're going to put big numbers this year. High-flying offense. We're going to put up points on everybody.
I got to go to a break,
nobody's slowing down Tennessee's offense.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Dr. Vol is on fire, and we're 85 days out. And I have to go to a break. That's why we had to go to a break. So sorry. That's why we had to end that call abruptly. But thank you, Dr. Vol, for calling the program. More of the rundown. We come back. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. Dr. Vol's on fire, man. Billy says he doesn't represent the Tennessee fans. Okay. Look, I think winning 10 games is tough for Tennessee. So, yeah. You don't know anything about that defense either, so there's that too. He said he was watching the Mizzou spring game. The Mizzou spring game. Why are you watching the Mizzou spring game? I don't think the Mizzou fans are watching the Mizzou spring game. Just throwing that out there. I'm going to pull the Tennessee schedule really quick. Why not? I think Georgia fans will be more mad than anybody there, motivated, dedicated. Welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Look, we're getting to the point now where talking season is heating up, and we're like, 85 days away from the start of the season. We are, let's see here, 46 days away from SEC kickoff and all that. Yeah, ACC Media Days and all that. We're right there. I pulled Tennessee's schedule to Dr. Vol claims he's got $500. I don't know if it's Monopoly money or whatever, but he claims he would bet $500 that Tennessee wins 10 games this season. So I thought we would look at the schedule together. They've got Ball State at home, first game of the season on a Thursday night. I think they win big there. So that's one win. At Pitt, I think that game is a toss-up, but let's give them the win. Let's just say, all right, Pitt's got Kadon Slovis, but game 2, we don't know how much offense they're going to have. No Kenny Pickett, no Jordan Patterson, none of that. Okay, let's give them the win over the Pitt. So that's 2 wins. Akron would be 3 wins. Florida, I've said on the show that I think they get Florida this year simply because Florida has they're in that transition period with Billy Napier, and the game is in Knoxville. So I think they break that streak, and I think they beat Florida this year. So that gives them 4 wins. Before they go to Baton Rouge, they get a week off and go to Baton Rouge. I think they lose there. Motivated, dedicated, and ATL DJ Baby Boy says they both lose to Motivated, dedicated says they lose to Pitt. He might be right, but I'm trying to look at it from a Tennessee perspective here. Alabama's a loss. So right now I've got them at 4-2. UT Martin is a win. That's 5-2. Kentucky is a win. That's 6-2. Georgia's a loss. That's 6-3. Mizzou is a win. That's 7-3. I think South Carolina beats them here. They got to come here. I think South Carolina beats them. So that's got them at 7-4. And I think they beat Vanderbilt. That puts them at 8-4. There you go. What do you want from me, man? 8-4 for Tennessee this year. I think 10 wins is tough. Billy says Bama, UGA, and LSU are the only losses. Big Barney Ross says Tennessee wins 10 games. Time for the Vol fans to turn off the Xbox. I'm with you on that. Papa B says Tennessee to the Liberty Bowl. Peg and Megan says everybody's beating Florida this year. Now imagine if Peg and Megan they slip up and they lose to Florida this year, but Florida still gets hammered by everybody else. How would you feel about that happening there, Tennessee fan? And then Tennessee, they don't have issues with a lot of other teams. They beat Kentucky, maybe get an upset somewhere else, but they don't beat Florida. That's like the we were talking about Josh Heupel, and someone's like, oh, who was at Bluegrass earlier, was telling us maybe he'll be on the hot seat. Look, if Heupel can win a lot on the rubber chicken circuit next season, after the season's over, if he can walk in and they've won 8 games, and one of those games they've beaten Vanderbilt, they've also beaten Kentucky, and they've also beaten Florida. If he has that in his mix, that's going to help him out a lot in the eyes of the Tennessee fan base. Now, if they can beat South Carolina too and go 9-3, their only losses are LSU, Georgia, and Alabama. They're going to start talking. Dr. Vols going to be a hell of a lot louder come the end of the season. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. If you want to respond to that, we'll take your calls on that this afternoon. As we roll along here, as looks like East Carolina is going to fall here shortly, as they're losing 5-2 to the folks from East Carolina. Coastal Carolina is going to fall there. So keeping an eye on the NCAA tournament regionals as we check the scores for you here. We'll give you a quick scoreboard update. Michigan leads Louisville 8-7. That game is in the top of the 9th. East Carolina has a 6-2 lead over Coastal. That game is in the bottom of the 7th. In the top of the 7th, Florida leads Oklahoma 2-1. So there you go with that. Tennessee's already advanced. So has Notre Dame. And yeah, so that puts, we have what, 2 SEC teams already there with Tennessee and Texas A&M, 2 ACC teams with Notre Dame and Virginia Tech have already advanced to super regional play. So there you go with that. Dr. Ball says we won't lose LSU and South Carolina. Okay. I mean, we're at that point where I can just, you could sit there and you could probably make an argument, maybe this is the year we get to smoke the cigars with Alabama. I mean, okay, whatever it is you want to believe, that's fine. Just from an outsider's perspective, because I don't really care how Tennessee finishes other than we get to goof on the Tennessee fans a little bit. The reality is that they're projected to win about 8 games this year. Not by me. Sports books. That's where they've got them at. The same Tennessee fans will call and tell me, yeah, but everybody thought we were going to win 5 games last year. How'd that work out? Yeah, you went to a bowl game. You played well. You did exceed expectations. And of course, you got to build from that. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. And Aaron is being a rational Tennessee fan. Congratulations on that. He says, I feel like Tennessee will at least be competitive against every team they play. That is a rational way to go. Very good, sir. Very good. We gotta give some notes to Dr. Vol there. There's nothing wrong with saying, you know what? We're going to go out and we're going to be competitive every game. May not win all of them, but we are going to be competitive. Don't have a problem with that. Don't have a problem with that. Dr. Vol wants to talk about recruiting for 2023. None of the guys from 2023 are going to help your offense or your defense this year. You may have Tennessee's offense will probably finish in the top 3 of total offense in the SEC. Their defense, though, may finish in the bottom 3. It's not like they brought anybody in that's going to make you look across there on the defensive side and think, man, we have to game plan to stop that guy. Serious. I don't see that. Remember, your last game you went out, Purdue lit you up like a Christmas tree. All right. So by the time we get in tomorrow, we will have the full set of the super regional bracket, all of that squared away for you. We may end up with, like, I was looking at the bracket earlier and the way that things are looking. Hold on. Let me make sure that I'm not silly here. So the bracket right now, as it stands, you've got Tennessee and Notre Dame. So that's an ACC-SEC matchup. You could have Louisville, if they can win their game, that'll give them an ACC-SEC matchup with Texas A&M. Virginia Tech could be playing Florida. If they win, that would be another ACC-SEC matchup. Vanderbilt and Auburn could match up in the super regionals. LSU could match up with Ole Miss in the super regionals. And Arkansas could be there against North Carolina, Maryland and UConn, and Stanford and Texas State. You could theoretically have the College World Series with, like, what? You got what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You could have 12 of the 16 teams from the ACC or the SEC. That's the way it'll work out. All right. Appreciate you guys checking us out today. We'll be back at it tomorrow. This is The Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. I appreciate you guys as always. And we'll talk to you tomorrow. All right. SEC projections from DraftKings. See you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much.